All right, today we're going to take a look at a watch by a brand that's had my attention for a long time, and really the only reason I've never pulled the trigger on these up until now was because I could never find one in stock. Well, I finally did, and today we're going to take a look at a watch by Mr. Jones. So as I do the unboxing here, I'll talk a little bit about the brand. So Mr. Jones is a small kind of boutique brand based off in London, and essentially they do very specific kind of watches, and they specialize in very unique designs. Now, I think that's putting it a little bit mildly. I really do like this. So again, let's look at this art here. And Mr. Jones tends to, I don't want to say the word novelty because I think that kind of takes away from what they do, but it's watches that you're never going to find anything like them anywhere else. And through the years, Mr. Jones's catalog has been growing, and I'd always liked this specific watch, but it's always been out of stock, and I finally got a hold of one of them. So here they talk about the artist, which I do appreciate them including this. And obviously by now, if you're watching this video, you know I'm talking about the Ricochet. So one of these watches is actually this one here, and it is the Mr. Jones Ricochet. Now, right off the bat, I know this is not going to be for everyone. I know some people are not going to like this, and that's part of the reason why I like Mr. Jones. I think it does a lot for watch collecting, and it allows us to not take ourselves so seriously. I know a lot of the fan base does that a lot. But these watches are really just super unique. They're very playful. I'll put some up on the screen here for y'all. And this one specifically talked to me just because I'm a big kind of steampunk kind of guy. So here we have 3 robots playing pinball. That's essentially it. Now Mr. Jones does have such unique watch designs that it's often, how do I say this? The time-telling feature isn't always a priority. So if you look closely here, the pinball machine's actually displaying the time. Now again, I've heard a lot of criticism from people saying, you can't really tell the time, and that's part of the thing. That's part of the appeal to this. You're wearing this more for kind of the novelty, the art of it. And right off the bat, you do see this pop quite a bit. Now there is layers to this. Each robot is individually wrapped in foil, a different kind of foil that really shines differently. You do have depth here, it kind of falls into it. The lack of internal bezel really does make this pop quite a bit. And again, there's really nothing to this beyond this being just a super fun watch. Now, why specifically this watch? Why specifically Mr. Jones? I've been very interested in jumping hour watches for a while, and I have found that there aren't very many affordable options for that. Now, one of the things that does differentiate Mr. Jones is that while they are very novelty-like watches, they do have mechanical movements inside. So this does house a Seagull watch. That's a jumping hour. So as you can see here, essentially the movement here has discs inside that rotates. I missed it there. And at the hour jumps, making this a jump hour. Here we go. See, that works. Again, that's a cool feature that you don't see in a lot of watches that I really do enjoy out of this one. And aside from being extremely and just about as unique as you can get, you're not going to get any real competition for this kind of design. You're not going to find anything of this design. They do come at a relatively affordable price. I believe this one's about $400, $350. But again, the issue here is that they're always sold out. From what I understand, Mr. Jones is kind of a small shop in London to where people are actually just making these watches. So the production is a little bit slow, but nonetheless, I think they're worth it if you're looking for something to not take too seriously, while still keeping a mechanical movement in there and something that's not purely quartz. Now I know this does come in a couple of different editions. I know for sure one of them has a different background. This is kind of a teal background here. and other ones have a bit of an open mechanism here in the pinball machine that shows that internals kind of moving around. This one doesn't. I don't think it worked quite as well as they had hoped, so they kind of reverted to this. But one of the reasons I do like this brand is because they're very open to kind of customization. I do know that some of the other watch models they have, if you email them, they'll start a conversation with you, and if you want small things changed that they can do, they'd be more than happy to. And I think that's one of the things that differentiates this from big brands. If I'm buying a Seiko and I want something changed, I don't even know how I could get a hold of them, and they definitely would not customize something for me like these guys would. Really do appreciate that. But really, besides that, there's not much more to say about this. Obviously here, because you are working in 5-minute increments, you're never going to know exactly the time. But again, I think that's part of kind of, there it is, a jumping hour. Taking watch collecting not all that serious. I will put some footage of this outside so you see how the foil glows and shines differently. But really, besides that, there's nothing to this beyond, it's just a whole bunch of fun. Here it goes. There it is. Now, the specifications, this watch is a 37mm watch. So it's a little bit on the small side, but these lugs that, from what I see online, they're a little bit polarizing because they are so long. This makes it wear a little bit bigger. So I do think this wears a little bit closer to a 40 or 39mm. It does have a 5 ATM water resistance, which I would have, honestly, I would have thought this has less than that, but I do appreciate that. A lug width of 18mm. Now you can get this in a whole bunch of different straps. Personally, I put it on one of my straps. I do think the gray suede goes well with this. But like I said, for the uniqueness of it, the packaging of it, the design of it, you're getting a jump hour for $400. That thing, you can't really beat that. You're not going to find that anywhere else. This watch is obviously not loomed. It has no hands. So let's do some size comparison so you kind of get a feel of it. So here we have it next to the Junghans Max Bill. Now this is advertised, I believe, at 37mm also. So it does work kind of true to size, except you do see these lugs compared to this German watch. They are a little bit bigger. The Junghans is obviously a quartz, as you see it ticking, so it's a lot thinner. And finally I brought the Tissot, the Powermatic. This one I believe is also a 38 or 39mm, and it wears pretty similar to the Mr. Jones. Thickness, I love this watch. It has a powerhouse move and an 80-hour power reserve, and they're about similarly sized. But besides that, there's not much to say about this watch. It's just a whole bunch of fun, and I'm glad to finally get a hold of one. So let's throw it on the wrist and see how that wears. Now on the wrist, it does work kind of as I thought. It is a little bit small, but the big lugs does make this wear a little bit more than the size indicates. It is a little bit chubby on the wrist, but that's kind of expected for this kind of movement. And really under the sunlight, like you saw in the other footage, the colors really do pop out a lot of the dial. The depth really does pop out, and again, this is just a whole bunch of fun. There's not much else to say about it, and I really do recommend this brand if you're looking for something unique and kind of like nothing else out there in the market.